Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Monday Night Football. The Miami Dolphins head to New England to take on the Patriots in what has become a nasty, bittered rivalry, with the Patriots, leading the charge or having a hold of Miami over the years thanks to TB12. But things are a-changing with Tua now finding his own game. But before we get into kickoff and all my favorite plays, I want to talk about Fantasy Six Pack and what you can do to become an all access member. It's easy peasy. There's a values to be had here. 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and it's only $9.99, and you get access to rankings, projections, and some of the best minds in all of fantasy sports. Not just football, we're talking fantasy baseball, hockey, MMA, the works, and you get access to the Discord, which is free right now, but you get a couple little extra channels where you'll get to interact with a guy like me if you'd like to. That's up to you, and all the other expert rankers if that's what you're after as well. But when we look at what we have going on, why we're gathered here today, we're here to talk about, said the Dolphins head to New England to take on the Patriots. And as it stands right now, the point spreads are Miami -2.5. Basically, New England is getting points here. So to me, it's odd, New England being a home underdog, right? And that's because Tua and Miami put on a show in week one. When you look at this, is all easily found stuff, but Tua hung 466 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill is a bona fide superstar. He caught 11 passes for 211 yards and 2 touchdowns. Is there going to be a repeat of that here Sunday night or week 3, week 4 down the road? We will get into that as time progresses, or we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But let's talk about some point spreads and all that. And as I said, Miami's -2.5. I love that one, and I'm going to give you the final score at the end of this thing. But I gave away some free advice Sunday morning on the Fantasy Six Pack broadcast. So if you caught a glimpse of that show Sunday, I'm on there with Dave Eddy at 12 noon. I gave away the final score there, but if you didn't, you're here now. Let's talk about this game, and we're going to breeze through this thing because this game is going to go, unfortunately, how you expect it to go. New England they have a weak offensive line. Mac Jones is their quarterback. I'm not saying Mac is a schlub or a bum, but Bailey Zapp is waiting in the wings, and what are we going to do there? But anytime Bill Belichick is your head coach, you're going to be in the game, and in the way he schemes plays and the defenses and all this. So this game, it's going to be interesting, and it is Sunday night, and it is a time to rest and reflect and get in bed and kind of doze off and watch football. But let's start with Tua, shall we? When you look at Tua, Miami going to New England right now, New England 11th overall against opposing quarterbacks. On FanDuel, Tua is 16.5. DraftKings, he's 11.2, and on Yahoo, he's $33. Will Tua throw for 400 plus yards? I doubt it, but I'm looking at 23, 24 completions, 280 to 290 yards, and 3 to 4 carries, scurries, however you want to put it, for another 10 to 12 yards. And I'd imagine the coaching staff has told Tua, and again, this is my opinion, I'd imagine the coaching staff has said, Tua, let's tone it down, let's use your arm. You've been concussed a couple times last year, and it got you out of a few games, and we don't want your brain to be mush or scrambled. So let's hang in the pocket, and let's use guys like Hill and Waddle to your advantage. So as I said, I have Tua 280 to 290 yards and a pair of touchdown passes. When on the opposite side of the field, when we look at Mac Jones, he is he's a capable NFL quarterback. I've always liked Mac Jones, and some people dislike him because he's kind of like a plain Jane, however you want to put it. But Mac Jones can get the job done when needed, when asked of him. We've seen him make beautiful throws in tight windows or on slants. I think Mac Jones will be the quarterback of the Patriots for a long time. But let's worry about Sunday Night Football, shall we? Miami right now 24th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Mac Jones, $15,500 on FanDuel, only $9,000 on DraftKings, 22 bucks on Yahoo even. Mac Jones, 23, 24 completions, around 240, 245 passing yards, and a couple scurries or scampies, however you want to put it there, for about 10 yards. You know he'll take off to move the chains on a few third downs, nothing crazy, and one touchdown pass here. When we look at the running backs, there's a lot to like in this one, right? You got Raheem Mostert, you have Salvin Ahmed, and you got the rookie Devon Achane coming back. He was inactive in week 1, was dealing with some injuries in spring and summer. He's going to be active at New England. But then on the Patriots side of things, there's no Ramondre Stevenson is someone who I love watching this guy run. And then they bring in Zeke Elliott, and you're like, why would you do that? In seasonal and dynasty formats, because Stevenson was such a stone cold stud lock as a running back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about each player and their price tag and what is to be expected of them, because again, this is a single game slate video. Let's start with Mostert, right? Miami at New England. New England 12th overall against opposing running backs. Mostert, $12,000 on FanDuel, $8,000 on DraftKings, only 16 bucks on Yahoo. He's going to see a lion's share of the snaps and the carries in this one. I have Raheem, 14 to 15 carries, 65 to 70 yards, 2 or 3 receptions for another 20 to 25 yards. So you're looking at, a healthy amount of yardage, 80 to 85 total yards if things break his way. The only issue is, will he find the end zone? Is there enough to go around because of the studly wide receivers and that combo of the Penguin, Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek Hill? But regardless, you want to make room for Mostert in most of, if not all of your lineups, just on DK alone, given his price tag. Salvin Ahmed, not much there, 6.5 on FanDuel, only $1,000 on DraftKings. The bare minimum, 10 bucks on Yahoo, 4 or 5 carries, 20 to 25 yards, a reception or 2 for another 8 to 10 yards, anywhere between the 8 to 12 yard range. And then the rookie Achane, 5.5 on FanDuel, 4.6 on DK, only $12 on Yahoo. Not much going on, but I do love the idea of let's just get him in some GPPs just to see, as I said a lot in week 1, let's see what all the fuss is about. And he's not a ton of dough, and the value wouldn't be, or he wouldn't have to do much to hit value in this one. I'm looking at 2 to 3 carries, 10 to 12 yards. Maybe he breaks one of those carries for about 15 yards, and we're rolling, right? I'm not expecting a ton of him given his price tag. Doesn't have to do much. 1 or 2 receptions for another 10 yards or so. When we look at the New England Patriots running backs, now we're talking, that's where we want to be. Ramondre Stevenson versus Miami. Right now, Miami dead last, 32nd against running backs. Ramondre Stevenson, $14,000 on FanDuel, 9.4 on DraftKings, $21 on Yahoo, 14, 15 carries, 65 to 70 yards, 4 to 5 receptions, another 35 to 40 yards. So if you're going to place some player prop bets, I think Ramondre Stevenson over 100 all-purpose yards is all but a sure thing. Does he find the end zone as well? I think he does. He'll be one of the lone bright spots on Sunday night for the Patriots and for our DFS lineups. When we look at Zeke Elliott, it looks to be a lot left in the tank. It just depends on what the Patriots are looking to do. It looks like they're trying to slow play it, be a little bit restrictive in how they use Zeke Elliott, and that's fine, right? They're looking in the long run, in the long term, right? Seasonally. I'm not saying next season and the year beyond that. They're playing for this year, and I'm just playing for this game. When you look at Zeke, $8,000 on FanDuel, 5.8 on DraftKings, only $15 on Yahoo, 8-9 carries, 30-35 yards, a reception or 2 for another 10 to 15 yards. Ty Montgomery also in the fold, but nothing crazy. But I just want to mention these guys just to get the bug in your brain that when you're building, anything is on the table. Ty Montgomery, 6.5 on FanDuel, 1,400 on DK, only 10 bucks on Yahoo, a carry or 2, 5 yards or something along those lines, a reception or 2, 8 to 10 yards. Now we're going to talk about the wide receivers, and that segue was very clunky, and it's not like me, but yet once again, on a single game slate. The wide receivers are all the buzz, especially for Miami. And let's start with Tyreek Hill. There's no getting around Tyreek Hill. If it's in a cash game, if it's in a GPP, you're going to want all the Tyreek you can handle. Of course, in the captain spot, MVP. And if you use him in that spot, are you going to tie with a bunch of people? Yes and no. It depends on how you work that line, how you move the pieces of the puzzle. That's why I'm here. But let's start with Tyreek Hill, New England. 25th overall against opposing wide receivers. Hill, $17,000 on FanDuel, 12.6 on DK, $36 on Yahoo, 11 to 12 targets, 7 to 8 receptions, 110 plus yards, a touchdown catch. I mean, you're going to get every dime of value that you've purchased on Tyreek Hill, and he is alone worth the price of admission. Shout out to my cohort at Fantasy Six Pack, Dave Eddy, for that old man grandpa saying Jalen Waddle. He's no schlub, no slouch either. Jalen Waddle, 13.5 on FanDuel, 10.2 on DK, $24 on Yahoo, 8-9 targets, 5-6 receptions, 75 to 80 yards. Does he catch a touchdown pass as well? I think so. So boom, there you go. There's the 2 touchdown passes I have Tua linked to. As we go down the list, Braxton Berrios, River Caracraft, excuse me. I always hate to butcher names. I get dogged in the comments. I'm sorry. I do my best. I know that I am a professional somewhat, but again, still just a fan having fun of this thing here. Berrios, River, of the two, I would prefer Berrios. 7.5 on FanDuel, 2K on DraftKings, $10 on Yahoo. Berrios, 3-4 targets, 2-3 receptions, 20 yards. He's a nice lineup filler. He's one of those guys where he's cheap enough where you can put him in and you're like, you just don't want a goose egg. You don't want a bagel, 0.0. And Braxton will keep your lineups afloat, let's say, once we get into the second half or the fourth quarter. On the New England Patriots side of things, in terms, it is a what are we going to do? Kendrick Bourne, Juju Smith, Devontae Parker, Demario Davis. I know they made Jalen Reagor active ahead of this game, and then even the rookie Keyshawn Butte. I mean, where are we going in this one? And I'll do my best to explain this one here, but let's start with Kendrick Bourne. It looks like a star is born. A star is born. Get what I did there? I didn't even mean to do that, but it hit me as I said it. Miami 12th overall against opposing wide receivers. Kendrick, $11,000 on FanDuel, 7.2 on DraftKings, $15 on Yahoo, 5-6 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 45 to 50 yards. He'll keep the chains moving. He'll get you the receptions that you need. And again, on FanDuel, a little bit more expensive than I'd like, but on DraftKings, he's well within reach. Juju Smith-Schuster, $9,000 on FanDuel, 6.2 on DK, $15 on Yahoo, 4 or 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 25 to 30 yards. I mean, Juju, they brought him in, and he's bounced around since leaving Pittsburgh, and he was supposed to be, or actually, I shouldn't say this. This is my own opinion, but, everybody was like, oh, Juju's going to New England. That's such a good move. That's such a good play. But, aside from what? Like Randy Moss or Wes Welker, these get Julian Edelman, they've had those, that star-studded kind of receiving, but they've always they've been manufactured. They've been homegrown kind of stud talent. They've never rarely have they brought in a wide receiver in free agency that's been a star since what? Like Randy Moss. If I'm off here or if I'm mistaken, let me know in the comments. So Juju to me is in play, and given his price tag and what I have for his projection, it's like kind of meh, it's blah. We'll keep it moving. Devontae Parker questionable, but they made Reagor active. What does that tell you? Demario Douglas is actually someone that I'm actually going to put in MVP captain spots here tonight to get weird, to get wild. When you look at Demario, only 7.5 on FanDuel, $1,800 on DK, $10 on Yahoo, 4 or 5 targets, 2 to 3 receptions, 30 to 35 yards. And let's say Demario Douglas catches a touchdown pass. If he's in your MVP captain spot, given his price tag, you're going to be in the money. I'd be sadly mistaken if you have Demario in the MVP captain spot and he scores, and if you don't win, or that would just be a shame. But hey, we will move on. Rieger, Keyshawn in play as well. I just want to mention Keyshawn really quick. You're looking at him $5,000 on FanDuel, only $600 on DraftKings. The bare minimum $10 on Yahoo. 2 to 3 targets, a few receptions, 20 to 25 yards. And again, he is one of those guys. He is dirt cheap. And again, there is a risk of him getting you the goose egg, but it's that reward risk thing. And in a GPP on a single game slate, I'm all for that. When we look at the tight ends here, Durham Smythe is someone who piques my interest, right? New England, 32nd overall against opposing tight ends. So to me, Durham, only $7,000 on FanDuel, 3.8 on DraftKings, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions. I'm thinking 30 to 35 yards, even a ceiling of about 45 to 50 and a touchdown reception. It's there, and the price tag is just screaming his name for me personally in an MVP and a captain spot. Tyler Kroft, not much going on, a target or two, a reception or two, 5 to 10 yards. I'm all good there. When we get to the Patriots tight ends, now we're talking, right? We talked about the Miami wide receivers. That's where you want to be if you're looking at tight ends, right? And that's where you're going to want to be for New England in terms of where the action is. Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki in some sort of revenge game. People love that narrative so much. It's thrown around as a joke, so I'm going to say it. Is this a Mike Gesicki kind of revenge game? Miami, he leaves Miami, he's in New England. Now he's back at Foxborough against Miami, and let's see what he can do. Let's slow it down. Let's start with Hunter Henry. Miami right now, 25th overall against opposing tight ends. Henry, $10,000 on FanDuel, 5.6 on DK, $13 on Yahoo. Every season, every time the Patriots play in a single game slate, Hunter Henry is on my radar, not only in a flex spot, but also captain MVP, 5-6 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 35 to 40 yards. And Hunter Henry is always in play in the red zone to receive a touchdown here. Do not look past that. Mike Gesicki, $7,000 on FanDuel, 2.4 on DK. Yahoo, only $12. 3 to 4 targets, 2 to 3 receptions, 25 to 30 yards. Bill Belichick probably doesn't give a crap about the revenge game stuff. Mike Gesicki probably doesn't either. It's not like him or Miami were like, married or along those lines. The revenge game it's basically a joke. But Mike Gesicki, if you want to use him in your flex spots or MVP captain spots, I wouldn't blame you. To be fair, I'm going to do the same thing. Obviously, I'm going to have several different lineups, and as I said, I'm going to headline those with Demario Davis at MVP captain, followed by Smythe and then Hunter Henry. When we look at the DSTs here, the Dolphins or the Patriots, which way am I leaning? I mean, both are in play, but I would prefer the Dolphins given just my final score and the fact that the Patriots have such a weak offensive line. The Dolphins will be able to break through and sack Mac Jones a few times, or does Mac make a mistake, throw a duck or a goose, however you want to call it, in the air for an interception? So give me the Dolphins, 9.5 on FanDuel, 4.4 on DK, $12 on Yahoo. As I said, a trio of sacks, a quartet of sacks, 3 or 4 sacks, and an interception without a doubt. When we move on to the kickers, let me rewind this really quick. If we look, if pregame, right, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes before lock, if you notice that Judon is wearing the red sleeves, I would actually kick the tires on the Patriots DST in the MVP captain spot, because red sleeve Judon is a force to be reckoned with. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google search it. And you'll get what I'm talking about. When we get to the kickers here, it's all it's all ho-hum kind of stuff. Jason Sanders, Chad Ryland. I have Sanders 3 for 3 extra points, 2 for 2 field goals. He's $9,000 on FanDuel, 4.2 on DK. Not much going with Ryland. And when we look at this final here, right, it's Miami is going to New England. New England has historically dominated this matchup, but times are changing. Times have changed. I have the Miami Dolphins to win this one handedly, 28-17. So give me Miami minus the 2.5 points. Shoot, you could even tease that thing to minus 6.5, 7.5, even 10. If you wanted to have some stones, take Miami minus 10, because they will win by around 11 points or so, as I have the final score. 28-17, Miami wins. They go to 2-0. New England falls to 0-2, and the narrative is, what's Bill going to do? Is there going to be a quarterback change? Depending depending on what the heck Mac Jones does in this one. I don't know. All I can tell you is stack up Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Demario Davis, and a little sprinkle of Hunter Henry, Gesicki, and the Dolphins DST. Be good, be safe. I'll see you for Monday Night Football. We have a real treat ahead here at Fantasy Six Pack. It is a double header of fun on Monday Night Football. So let's get together then. Be good, be safe. Miami wins this one, 28-17. See you later. Bye.